Lichéesh satini Johan ach tu which in chasati ya geta kashake an kaya hayati gunalchish. Hi everybody. I feel good we're together again. It's good to see you. We're on beautiful lands. It's a good day. Late dakusi tanya yagi on chich kwa. It's snowing here in Anchorage, and hopefully I can get out and snowboard this weekend. So I'm going to put our slides up. Let's go. S'eek Dísi yutu wasauk yadis jenkat ka dakadu shuyawahi kajin yagiya. It's S'eek Dísi February 17th, Friday. This is week 6 of our class. So we have a full class today. I have a couple announcements for you that I'm excited to share, and we'll make room for discussion. Last week, I really rushed an overview of prayer in native spaces. And the reason I did that is that a friend of mine, Kusine, who also studies Lingít at UAS, stepped up to share a prayer for the legislature. It is Elizabeth Pradovich week, and I wanted you all to be aware of it. So I'll share a little bit more about that since we had some interest expressed in class about prayer. And then I have an exercise from the beginning Lingít workbook. For class announcements today, I know that a few of you expressed interest in the different dialects of Lingít. And so in the beginning Lingít class sponsored by Lingít and Haida that Shirley Kendall and I teach, we started doing a Friday introduction to dialect series. Last week we covered Dakka or inland Lingít, and we had a guest speaker, Skaidu'u. She's Daklawedi from Teslin, and her class recording is not yet posted yet, but I will share with you the link just so that it's available. So I'll put this in the chat. What I'm giving you is the YouTube page for Lingít and Haida, where you can find our classes. And just keep your eye out for a recording that's marked February 10th, Lingít. Okay, if you do open this up, that's the YouTube channel. Today we're going to have a guest speaker, Jeff Lear, and he's prepared some materials to represent the Tontaquan or Tongass dialect, as well as Hinyaquan from Tóoch. And he's worked extensively with speakers from that area. So he transcribed and translated some of this material, and he'll be sharing it today. That's at noon. Of course, if you can't make it, then that's okay. You can always watch these classes on YouTube. But I know that you expressed an interest in the dialects, and we are having representation in this class. So the link I just put in the chat is a registration link. If you're interested in joining, register at that link. I'll also put the Zoom link for class in the chat. I would just ask that if you do join through the Zoom link, that you also do register. Any questions about those? Okay, fun stuff. I'm super excited to at least have representation of the different dialects of Lingít. The other thing I wanted to mention for our classes moving forward, since we only meet for an hour every week and then we have a whole week before we see each other again, I do want to start opening up our classes with class review from what we did the previous week. And so we're going to start doing that, and I'll give you I'll ease you into it today. So looking at our review, these are the basic conversational phrases we learned last week. And for today, I'll just ask you to repeat after me for pronunciation practice. And then next week we'll start, I'll ask you a question. I want you to respond, but for today, you can just repeat after me. Go ahead and unmute your mics and say, Lichéesh satini. One more time. Lichéesh satini. And just a reminder that ichsa, it's not ichwasa, it's ichsa. So everybody just repeat that part. Ichsa. And then ichsatini. I like it. And then the whole phrase one more time. Lichéesh satini. I love it. You sound really good. Next one. Wa'akwa. Suhaka kewa'a. Good. And then that underlined K in kewa'a is in the back of your throat. And it needs to sound different from the K and ka. It needs to be a ka. So let's do just that word. Repeat after me. Kewa'a. Okay, and the whole phrase. Suhaka kewa'a. Okay. So these are greetings when you first see somebody. These are some things you can say. When you're parting ways, you can say, I'll see you again. So let's look on the right-hand side and repeat after me. S'eek kwasatin. And yewushkach tustin. And ziyagen. Lichéesh. You sound good. So moving forward, when we open classes, I want to hear you telling me Lichéesh satini and Tsuhaka kewa'a. And when we part ways today, I want to hear you say S'eek kwasatin and yewushkach tustin and ziyagen. Wutsaga.
You're just wondering what situation you use suhacha chewa'a, if it's just interchangeable with yake kwasatini.
Good question, Gunaftish. Tsuhaka kewa'a is like kind of like a good morning. And I think where this might have come from is sometimes you'll hear people say yake tsutak, and that's a literal translation from English, good morning. And somebody provided this phrase, which may be a little bit more natural culturally, to say when in greeting each other in the morning, to acknowledge that the sun has dawned on us again. I usually, in language immersion gatherings, I usually say and hear this to people when we all come out of our bedrooms, if we all have an Airbnb together, when we're pouring coffee, greet each other this way. Good question. Any more? keep going. Excuse me. So this one, the question, repeat the question after me. You're asking, how are you doing? Wasa iyati. Mm-hmm. And then these are the different ways you can respond. And I'll just ask you guys, do you have any questions on the pronunciation for any of these? So I'll just say wasa iyati and y'all can respond. You can unmute your mics. It's okay if multiple people talk at the same time. This is just for you to practice responding to this question. And we'll do this every Friday. So Guk Yuhan wasa iyati.
Yake.
Okay, I love it. Any questions on these? Okay, that's just a short review of the phrases. And these are the two dialogues we made together last week, which I love. We looked at the conversational phrases and we collaborated to make short dialogues. The reason I love this is that anytime you're taking what you're learning and turning it into conversation that you can internalize and use, you're making it part of your life. So let's read these line by line, and then I'll ask volunteers to practice them with me. So first for pronunciation, everyone repeat after me. Lichéesh satini. Wa'at lichéesh satini. Wasa iyati. Shtuqa khatati. And then okay. And then a second dialogue we made. Repeat person A after me. Wasa iyati. Ike wa'aqwa. Ike achtu sugu. Yeah. Any questions on those lines? Okay, I need a volunteer to be person A in the top dialogue, and I'll be person B.
Pataya.
You can be person A, Gook.
Yaki ikhwasatini.
Wa'atsa satini.
Wasa yati.
Shtuqa khatati. Lichéesh. Awesome job. Anybody want to practice the second dialogue with me? Kautsi Aktla, you can be person A.
Wasa iyati.
Yike wa'aqwa.
Yake achtu sugu.
Okay, awesome job. Do folks have any questions on these dialogues? I know it can get a little intimidating to perform, so we'll continue to review these, and as you get more comfortable with them, we'll just make it a regular part of class. So talking a little bit more about our discussion for prayer, I grew up in the US education system where we have separation of church and state. And then I also grew up around amongst Native family and relatives where prayer is just part of gatherings. And so I wanted to talk about it a little bit. I wanted to say, can you guys hear my birds screaming in the background? Okay.
So
Okay. It's very distracting to me. Can you all hear it? Okay, a little bit. Liz with the good ears. Okay. I'm like, why did I get birds? Okay. You all let me know if they distract you and I'll just be right back. I'm gonna go shut the door. If you're ever thinking about buying an impulse pet, don't get birds because they live for like 15 years and they make a lot of noise. Okay. So yeah, continuing our discussion on prayer in Native spaces, in my family and in Native spaces I enjoy in Juneau, you'll hear prayers at the opening anytime you want to start a gathering in a good way, especially if there are elders present, meals, ceremonies, gatherings. One of our goals for this class is respectful engagement with elders, and so it's responsible. If you want to ask an elder to give a prayer, it never hurts to ask them ahead of time. And that just goes for any time you're asking an elder to give any sort of information or presentation in the language. If you're asking them to say something in the language, elders like to know ahead of time what's expected of them so that they can think about it. If an elder is not present at a gathering or interested in giving a prayer at a gathering, then it is good at our ages and as learners to be ready to do it in their place, just so that the burden is not always on elders to give a prayer. And this is one reason that I wanted to learn right off the bat, because one thing I'm always thinking about in Native spaces is how do I make life a little more comfortable and easier for elders? You know, you always want to make sure they have water, coffee, you know, if they need a break from talking, make sure that you are prepared to step in. Other times you might hear prayer anytime strength or clarity or courage is needed. And then there are lots of variations of prayer. So I'll show you some examples. This week, Kusin performed or recited this prayer, which she drafted, and then she went to class, and her advanced Lingít class at UAS with Rene, their whole class collaborated to spell check, make sure it's grammatically correct, and so that when she personalized this prayer for her context, the social context which was in the Capitol amongst the Alaska State Legislature, that it made sense, but also that she was speaking the language correctly. The way you'll see prayer varied is based on your beliefs or your preferences. You can be praying to our creator, Hashigenya. Diki Ankawu is more commonly heard post-contact. It's maybe a translation of something you'll hear in a colonial or in a church, Heavenly Father. Hashagun, everything we have been, are, and will be. And then Hashuka, our ancestors. she wanted to incorporate all of them. She said, I call it covering my bases. I love it. And then you can, she looked at examples from different prayers and incorporated them. So Gunachish Yayagi Kaya Kuste Haji Titi Alaska Kasha Denech Kiyag Ehasyati Hastuya Kajasatan Hastatundatan Nikakayet Kayahas Kuk Kaskayet Hastuya Kajasatan Hashaguni Hastuhlatsini Hatuyen Lati Wuch in Yajanach Tunayet Wuch Ede Konachtus Ach Ya Yidat Yat Atke Katwatu A Deha Wahanha Tuwasugu Tu Shagugo Adeyat Atke Kahas Kustinya Hashagunya Has Wuch Yachyadash Dakat at Gonalchish Hoho Hashagenya. So I think she and Khone and Dashjini all took turns representing this prayer and the legislature this week. So I'm very proud of them. Another example where I've prayed in public was for a wedding. And my friends Barbara and Brian got married this last spring in 2022. And they asked me to recite a vow. And so they had their wedding officiated in 3 languages, English, Lingít, and Khatkil or Haida, also known as Haida. And Khone composed this for me, and then I practiced and recited it so that there would be a Lingít prayer at their wedding. And this one goes, Hashagenya, Hashagenya, Hashagun, Hashaka, Gunalchish which in Khasati, Kashlake Ankaye Hayati, One Ganin Slidi Kaji Knitich. Jaan Kuawe, Kusekhan Katutla Anten, away a Gachtudlak. Shei Had Yahush gentle Shatyag. Halil Gohaslatzini Tuadach, Yayati, Yewuti, Yikwati. Adautu the She Halil Gohasat Wuskuwa. Hadach Hank is honest the Jidegach to tea. Gunalchish Oeha Kachi Latini. Gunalchish Hayuk Atangi Klus tea. Gunalchish Ha Anikaye Hauti. Gunalchish Ha in Chisati. And here's the translation. So do folks have any questions about these? I know there was some class interest about prayer. All right, so let's move on to the beginning Lingít workbook. We're gonna review the beginning Lingít workbook, chapter 1A. We'll just quickly brush over it because we covered it last term. And then we'll do a translation exercise, which closes up and wraps up chapter 1. And we might need to look back a little bit since it's been a few weeks since we learned this material, but we'll work through it together. So I'll put this link in the chat. If you don't have it open, go ahead and click it to open this book. And I have it open here. So just kind of quickly looking back, chapter 1A is Dasaya, and we learned a lot of vocabulary. We drilled this vocabulary, but just looking over it, these will be in the translation exercise. I think te is in it. Sate. Sheye. Una, I think, is in it. And then scrolling past the vocabulary, we talked about particles and questions, how to make a question, how to be aware of your sense of space in the language, and to communicate, whether you're talking about something in your immediate vicinity or a little farther away, maybe across the table or across the room, and then out beyond for you. We did these question and answer drills. Lots of vocabulary, guys. I recommend, if you're practicing vocabulary, keeping it to 10 words per week, which is about what we did. And I don't think we got this far, but I'll find ways to incorporate it. And then these are forming Lingít questions on page 38, which I recommend taking a look at. And I will go ahead and share the PDF version I have so that we can fill in the translation exercise. So I'll do a new share. And we'll do the whole desktop. And open this up. So can you all see the translation exercise on my screen? And we'll go through these. And so this is on, if you're in the beginning Lingít workbook, this is on page 42. And you can just unmute your mic and answer. What is an English translation of Dasaya?
What is this?
What is this? Yeah. What about Dasawa?
What is that?
What is that? Okay. And what are the differences in Dasaya and Dasawa that indicate this versus that?
Yeah, and where?
Yeah, and wa. Okay, I need an English translation of te awa.
That is a rock.
That is a rock, yeah. And say taya.
This is a necklace? No.
This is a necklace. Okay.
Good.
Good memory. Yeah, okay.
Yay! I'm feeling so proud of our good minds.
I am too.
I'm over here racking my brain.
Is it exciting a little bit to be doing that?
A little bit.
Yeah. This is me in quiz situations or language situations. It's like sometimes I feel like I'm driving really fast, you know, that quick decision making and recollection. It's kind of fun. Okay, gusu una.
Where is my gun?
Really close.
Where is the gun?
The gun, yeah. Where is my gun would be gusu unai. And let me just demonstrate because it's a good question. So let's do this. We'll do questions. And so we had, let me zoom in because I know it's small. Gusu una. Where is the gun? And then if we want to ask, where's my gun? Gusu unai. I think it would be unai. And that would be, where is my gun? So to make something mine, I need to add a couple of things. And one of them is the possessive pronoun to indicate mine. And we're going to cover this in next chapter. So this is just kind of a fun little sneak peek preview. So I added for mine. And then anytime you're possessing something or showing possession, you also need to add a relational suffix at the end of the object. So una is rifle or gun. And to make it my rifle, it would be unai. So let's repeat these. The first line, everyone repeat after me. Gusu una.
Gusu
Una.
una.
And then repeat after me this next one. Gusu unai.
Gusu
Una.
Okay. So we'll start internalizing this pattern to make something a possessed item. Okay, good question. Okay. And a translation for gusu wegao.
Where is that drum?
Yeah,
Or you could say, where's the clock?
yeah, that you could also call it, where is that clock?
Bodhi's learning.
I love it. Awesome. Yeah, gao is used for both drum and clock. And so for folks that are wanting to see that in the dictionary, this is where I always spell check and double check things. And you go to the Lingít side, open up your search bar, and type in the word you're looking at. So gao. So as we heard, gao can mean drum. It can also mean clock or time or bell. Very good. I'm very impressed. Okay, and a translation for the last line. Lichéesh satini.
Bodhi says good morning.
No, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you.
Yeah, awesome. Wow, he's good.
He has very good Lingít teachers.
Who are his teachers, may I ask?
Miss Segoot. Miss Segoot's teaching me. Miss Jess is teaching me in the 2nd, 3rd grade class, but when I was in Mr. Josh's class, Mr. Nakashan.
Wow, you have really good teachers.
Very lucky.
Yeah, I'm so proud of you. All right, let's do the English to Lingít side. That is a house.
Hit away.
Yeah, hit owa. Okay, this is a dime.
Good, Aya.
Good day. And just to reiterate, our first one is that is a house. Spatially, it's that. This next one for a dime is this is a dime. So what are the difference on the Lingít side that show us between that and this?
Where and yeah. Where,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, awa, I love it. So you guys are recognizing awa is that, aya is this. Okay. Next one is is that a boat?
Gusueok.
Okay, really close. I really like it. So gusuwayak. Yeah. Is this high tone or low tone? Let's spell check.
I don't.
Let's see if we can find it in the vocabulary. Yeah. If we can't find it in the, okay, we have muscles, sha. Okay, yak is low tone. So if we have gusuwayak, we have where is that boat? How do we say, is that a boat?
Aqua.
Lichéesh. That's right. So is that a boat? And so we would start with yak for boat. And ask aqua. So here we're seeing a difference in word order between Lingít and English, and it's important to internalize it. The more we do it this way, where you just take a phrase and internalize the way it sounds, the better. But just recognizing that is that comes first in English, whereas its translation aqua comes second in Lingít. So the word order is different between English and Lingít. Yeah, aqua. And then if you're wanting to see where you can find this in the beginning Lingít workbook for the forming the questions, it's on page 38. And let me find it. Or is it page 38? Maybe it's a little higher up in our textbook. I think it's maybe a little sooner, probably. Here we go. Is that aqua? And then we also have, is this akya? Okay, so we're spelling aqua with the glottal stop. I'm going to stay consistent with that. Yeah, aqua. Okay, everybody repeat after me. Yeah, aqua.
Yeah.
Aqua.
Eowa. Okay, there's a bracelet. I'm gonna put this over here.
Like Yuki's? No.
Oh, okay, let's do that. Let me do. Okay. So we have, I heard keys. And I think, is this one high tone? I need to check. All right, keys. Who has it open in their book? Is keys high tone or low tone? High tone. Gonna teach. Okay, so we have keys. There's a bracelet. And how do we add the there is a part?
What?
I would go with way do keys.
Wade.
Yeah, okay. So there's a bracelet, way do keys. So everyone repeat after me. Way do keys.
Way.
Way do keys.
Okay. Okay, next one. Is this money?
Sudana.
Donna. And then how about the is this part?
Yeah.
Yeah, oopsie. Sorry. Okay, Donna. Akya. Is this money? Everyone repeat after me. Donna. Akya.
Dana.
Dana.
And then how would you answer it if it is indeed money? Yeah, that's good enough. And if you wanted to be really like make a complete sentence, you could say, repeat after me. Dana, aya.
Dana.
Yeah, so this K sound that you get in akya, I want you to start making that association that you're being asked a question. It's not that a K sound always does, but if you have a yes or no question, you'll hear ge. Lingít, ge. Do you understand Lingít? The word for this is money. Let me just demonstrate what I'm talking about in the slide. Okay, so if I want to say Dana, akya, is this money? And then I want to answer in full, I would say Dana, aya. Yes, this is money. Oh, goodness, geez. Okay, we just had a comment in the chat about the una. So make it go low and short. Okay, goodness, geez. Okay, so for this question about gusu una and gusu unai, this does indeed, when you're possessing something, the long open stem goes short. Gusu unai, goodness, geez. Okay, so back to the Donna situation, we have aya for an affirmative, yes, this is money. When we're asking, is this money, you get this added K sound. So kind of distinguish when you're comparing akya with aya. Aya is saying this is. Akya is asking, is this? Does that make sense? Okay. Okay. Donna, akya. And I think this is our last one. How do we ask? How are you?
Wasa'iyati.
S'eek. How are you? So everyone repeat after me. Wasa'iyati.
Wasa'iyati.
Okay. Any questions on these?
I got a question about like tenses. So
Uh,
like I wanted to ask my daughter like how was school, and like I wanted to start incorporating these Slingit questions, but just kind of like with everyday conversation. So just, like I thought like wasa and then plugging in, like what you would say for school, but how do you make it that past tense?
I love it. Okay, let's do it on a slide. And I'm gonna do a new share of just this one so it's easier to zoom in. So if we have I'm gonna zoom out a little bit. Okay. I would say Wasa wuti. And then ask how the thing was. This would be how was blank. And so wuti, does this sound similar to a word any of you have heard before? Wuti. Trying to think of an example. I don't think something that's sort of similar. So if we have wasa iyati, we're asking, how are you? And so you're going to start to see a difference between these, but they both have the same verb root. And so knowing that you're at this level now, I'm going to start making lesson plans where you identify the verb root. But what you're looking at here is woo and then the verb root, which you'll often see noted by the square root symbol. And that just lets you know that T is the verb root. So you have T. When we can identify a verb root, which often comes as the last syllable of a verb, then we can access it through the online verb database. I'll put this link in the chat so you have it. And this online verb databases was compiled by Geshawu Carrie Eggleston. She's a linguist for University of Alaska Fairbanks. And I love this resource for getting to know verbs. I know we talked about it briefly in the first day of class, but what you can do if you can identify the verb root, T, we recognize it's similar to T and iati. I'll show you the difference. So we have the verb root. I'm going to look it up quickly by just typing in T, because all of these blue entries are verb roots. Now I see there are maybe 4 different options with completely different meanings. So these are all ways that the verb root T can have, I would say, categories of meanings. And this resource can get a little overwhelming, but as beginners, what I would recommend is to just start opening and scrolling through till you find what you're looking for. So this first one we're going to go with, to be, wasa iati, is asking how are you. That's a question of to be. And we're going to scroll down and kind of look at it. Now you see the plethora of ways that the Tlingit language makes use of one root to have varied and more specific meanings. And so again, as beginners, as a beginner in my situation, what I did was scroll down till I find the yellow highlighted English meaning I was going for and try to maybe practice one form of it. You can go down a total rabbit hole with these, and I do regularly, and I really enjoy it. But let's start with this one, to be a certain way. I'm going to expand it. And so you'll see the theme. A theme is a way of describing a pattern of a verb. And it looks like a mathematical equation. And it might seem strange to me. This doesn't look like language. It looks like an analysis of something. But as you become more familiar over time with verbs, it'll start to make sense where you can see this and know how to pronounce it. But as beginners, we're going to start by just expanding it. Yay, thus, that way. We have our theme here. Now we're going to scroll down until we find our English meaning, and then we're going to locate and practice the Tlingit equivalent. So we have an imperative form. This is a linguistic term for what you might call the tenses in Tlingit. In English, you have tenses. In Tlingit, you have modes, and so, or forms. So you have an imperative form, be that way. It looks like these are commands. You'll slowly start to familiarize yourself with the different forms. And for now, I would just suffice it to say that they are a little bit different from forms in English, or tenses in English. In English, we deal with tense, past tense, present tense, future tense, and they're all pretty clearly delineated. In Tlingit, you have forms which deal more with whether or not a verb is completed, and that doesn't always correlate with past tense and past tense and present tense in English. Okay, that was a really long explanation, but what I wanted to get at is that if I ask wasa iyati, I'm asking how are you? If I say ye iyati, I'm telling someone you are that way. But this is the form iyati. It's an ongoing action. It's a state of being that I am. And then just to look up, to start to make a little more sense of the theme, you see in parentheses, na state. This na is a conjugation type. It tells you a couple things about the verb for predicting how to use it when you get into the level of conjugation. And then you also see that it's a state verb. So to be is a state of being a certain way. If you scroll down, you can see the negative form. So you see we practice it's kind of like saying there's nothing wrong with me. That's a negative form, but yati turns to ute. So when you go negative, you go ute. But to get more specific with your question, we're going to scroll down to perfective mode. And here we see yeti changes to wuti if it was that way. And so since your child's school day ended already and you want to know about it after, how was it? I would use wuti. This is pretty common. You can start to internalize that in the perfective mode, you're going to see a w and hear a w sound. So wasa iyati, how are you? Wasa wuti, how was it? How was, and then fill in the blank. So we would use wuti, and I would say maybe, so for example, I would say, let's go gray, wasa wuti. Maybe like this, yagi, yagi, wasa wuti yagi, waskun. I wonder if we could do it that way. I would do, how was your day? How was your day at that school? I'm gonna zoom in. I know it's small. Let's do. So you can repeat this after me. We'll start with just these first three words. Everyone repeat after me. Wasa wuti.
Wasawuti.
Iyagi.
Iyagi.
Weskunk.
Waskun.
Yeah. Yagi. I might need to spell check this one, but as far as the pattern goes, if you're asking about something that is completed already, I would switch from yeti to wuti. Does that help? I know that was a really long kind of tangent explanation.
Gosh, geez.
Anytime I'm putting a phrase together like this, I always like to cross-reference with Lingít Einachsa, because I can trust that the phrases in Lingít Einachsa are already provided by fluent elders, and I can trust that they use the verbs correctly and that they are appropriate for the context. And so let me see in the table of contents how I can find. I would probably guess this topic will be in chapter 1, greetings and departures and visiting. So I'm going to scroll down to page 9. And let's see if we find anything similar to what we put together. We did this one, wasa iati. I'm okay, she's fine. I'm just checking to see if there's anything about wuti in here. I'm not seeing anything so far. Has anyone else come across a phrase where you say wuti, wasa wuti? We'll keep our eyes out for it. I love your question because you're sort of opening the door to our upcoming chapters. Okay, so we're just about at time, and let me see, what else did we have? Were there any other comments or questions in general for class so far? Did I record? Oh yeah, we're recording. Okay. Thinks of it at the end of class. Okay. Let's see. So we already did our homework. That was my homework for you. So next week we're going to start chapter 2, and I'll just show you what that looks like. And so you can start looking at these. Let me open it up here. Oops. This one. Okay, 1 second. We just finished chapter 1. And so for next week, you can go ahead and look over the first few pages of chapter 2, which will be Dasawa Yatin. What do you see? Everyone repeat after me. Dasawa Yatin. Okay. And go ahead and look through. So this starts on page 45. Go ahead and just look through these first 2 pages, 45 and 46, and then we'll get started with it next week. So if you don't have any more questions, just achtuasagui inka khoniga achtu klekayikach gonalchishi yajani ka gonalchish which in khasati achtu yekeda. Thank you for all of your work, and thanks for being together. I'm grateful for you. I feel proud of you. And so yay kwasatin.
Gonalchish. Yay wushkach to steen.
Yay wushkach. Okay.
Ziagen.
Ziagen.
Lichéesh.
Ziagen.
Ziagen.